Well, only glad that year's over. Greetings everyone, Phil here from Nintendo Village, thanks for joining us. In this video, I thought I would run through some of the things that we could expect from Nintendo and the Switch in 2021. We're going to take a look at some games, the possibility of a Switch Pro, and a few other bits and pieces that Nintendo might have up their sleeve. Thanks for joining us, I hope you enjoyed this video. We have new ones up every week, so do consider subscribing. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's kick things off with the games we know are coming. There's a pretty beefy start to the year actually, with Super Mario 3D World, Persona 5 Strikers, and Bravely Default 2 all dropping in February. Monster Hunter Rise also arrives in March, alongside Square Enix's new 3D platformer Balan Wonderworld, meaning there's plenty of digital meat for us to sink our teeth into in Q1. And whilst Nintendo's own release slate is largely under wraps outside of 3D World and the final 3 rounds of Smash DLC, there's plenty of third-party games we can look forward to. Naturally, there'll be more quality indies than we can shake a stick at, with the likes of Little Nightmares 2, Serial Cleaners, Windjammers 2, Cyber Shadow, Sports Story and Silksong all due to arrive in 2021. But there's also bigger titles such as Monster Hunter Stories 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5 and No More Heroes 3 all slated for this year, as well as the prospect of Bayonetta 3. It's been 3 whole years since Platinum teased us with a cinematic trailer at 2017's Game Awards, so you'd hope that the game isn't a million miles away from being launched, or at the very least, given a substantial gameplay trailer at some point this year. Oh, and I'd also be very surprised if Crash Bandicoot 4 didn't crop up at some point too, especially given that Nintendo have just made Crash Team Racing free to play for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers over the next week. That kinda feels like it's leading up to something. So those are the things we know are coming, as well as some third-party speculation, but what else does Nintendo have up their sleeve after 3D World? There are of course 2 major releases in development that fans are looking forward to. Metroid Prime 4 had its development restarted at the beginning of 2019, and Retro have been on one hell of a hiring spree since then. Those new hires have included bug testers and QA people, so it would appear they now have a playable build of something. Whilst I don't think there's any chance of us getting the game this year, I expect that we will get our first look at it at some point. Were I a betting man, I'd say a cinematic trailer at the Game Awards in November, teasing a 2022 release window that then gets delayed till 2023. The other one of course is the follow-up to Breath of the Wild, and this one I think we will get this year. It's been a year and a half since it was first revealed, but as it appears to be using the same engine, assets and maybe even the same world as the first game, it would not surprise me at all if Nintendo rounded off Zelda's 35th anniversary with the Breath of the Wild sequel this coming Christmas. Speaking of that anniversary, it will be interesting to see if Nintendo go as big for Link's 35th birthday as they did for Mario's. I wouldn't expect quite as much, although I would not say no to another Game & Watch with the first Zelda game on there. But Nintendo may well have a few things up their sleeve. If they've got a bit of a hole to plug in the spring, a definitive edition of Breath of the Wild featuring all of the DLC seems to make sense, and would be a good way to get the ball rolling on the celebrations. There's also the long-rumoured Zelda mobile game, and although it has never officially been confirmed by anyone at Nintendo, a 2019 trademark application in Japan saw Nintendo secure their Spirit Tracks moniker for, and I quote, a program for smartphone. So 2021 may be the year that that Zelda mobile game does indeed come to fruition. Lastly on the Zelda front, there's the prospect of the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD remakes making their way over to Switch. Once 3D World arrives, they're pretty much the only games left on the Wii U that haven't been ported. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them brought across as part of the festivities. Whether or not they actually come bundled together like 3D All-Stars is another question. Personally, I kind of expect them to be sold separately, but they'd be superb additions to the Switch's library regardless. I kind of hope we get a new 2D Zelda using the Link's Awakening engine as well, but I do think that's probably more in hope than in expectation. A couple of notes on Pokemon, Animal Crossing and a few other games before we talk about the Switch Pro. On the Pokemon front, it wouldn't surprise me if we get another couple of Pokemon Directs at some point this year. There's the free-to-start MOBA game, Pokemon Unite, announced last year that I would expect to launch at some point this year given how much of it was shown. Outside of that, and maybe some more weird apps, I think one of 2 things might happen. Either Pokemon Snap will be the big holiday Pokemon game this year, or that will arrive sometime in the summer and we'll get new Let's Go games based on Gen 2 towards the end of the year. Either way, the main point being, I don't think Gen 9 will be coming until 2022 at the earliest. As for Animal Crossing New Horizons, we're obviously getting an update in late January that brings Pave and Festival to the island. It will be interesting to see what else that brings, but I think the anniversary update in March will be the big one to keep an eye out for. We know that March is bringing Super Mario items, and it wouldn't surprise me if we got other big additions such as the long discussed return of Brewster in that update. Elsewhere, HAL Laboratory in a recent interview teased the arrival of more Kirby projects, including games, so I would expect the pink puffball to make an appearance at some point this year too. Whilst we got Kirby Fighters 2 last year and Super Kirby Clash in 2019, it's nearly been 3 years since Star Allies arrived on Switch, and so it could well be time for another mainline Kirby game. There are rumours that this could be the first 3D Kirby game based on some unused code within Kirby Fighters 2. I'm always down for more 3D platformers, so that would definitely be cool to see. Lastly, it's also worth mentioning that there was a leak/rumour earlier in 2020 that predicted a big celebration for Mario's 35th anniversary, Switch ports of Super Mario 64, Sunshine and Galaxy, a new Mario Kart project, a new Paper Mario game, and a 2D Metroid. Obviously, that rumour has turned out to be bang on the money, but for one small bounty hunter shaped detail. But with Prime 4 likely still a couple of years away, a cheeky 2D adventure, even a port of Samus Returns or a remake of Fusion, would be a nice little appetizer. Obviously, the whole plague situation will have had an impact on development, but I think that's probably more likely to have affected games slated for the end of 2020 and 2021 than the kind of stuff we saw last year anyway. As a result, I think we might be looking at a fairly lean year, but Nintendo could top it up with something like WarioWare or Style Boutique or something. We'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, let's talk about the Switch Pro. Switch Pro rumours have been circulating for ages, pretty much since the system launched. But there have been a number of indicators that there will be a bit of a hardware refresh this year. I wouldn't expect 4K or next-gen levels of performance, but a smooth 1080p in handheld and a much more consistent 60fps in docked are very likely. Nintendo could well drop this towards the end of the year, alongside Breath of the Wild 2. It would be a great title to launch the new hardware with, and would echo moves they've made in releasing Link's Awakening alongside the Switch Lite, and Majora's Mask with the new 3DS. I've done a full breakdown of everything we know about the Switch Pro already, separating out the facts from the more wilder nonsense that's cropped up. As someone who's totally skeptical about a Switch Pro, particularly because the Switch is still performing incredibly well for Nintendo don't need a hardware refresh right now, the research for that video convinced me that we will get one. It's just a question of when rather than if. I'll leave the link to that video down in the description. One last thing I want to pick up on is Nintendo Directs. As we start a new year, thoughts obviously turn to that first Direct Nintendo will furnish us with. But it's entirely possible Nintendo are actually done with the full fat Direct format. The last general Nintendo Direct we got was in September 2019. There wasn't a single full general Direct at all last year. Sure, we got the Pokemon Presents videos, plenty of Indie World presentations, and a smattering of mini Direct partner presentations, alongside dedicated videos for Animal Crossing, Mario's 35th anniversary, and Super Nintendo World, randomly enough, but no major Direct. Now, that might be because so much was up in the air given the global situation, but Nintendo seemed happy to just drop standalone trailers on social media for Paper Mario and Pikmin, and they just straight up released Kirby Fighters 2 without so much as a how do you do. It will be interesting to see whether Nintendo do move away from General Directs in favour of this more targeted approach this year, or if they do come back once the world starts getting back to normal. So there you go guys, those are the things we can expect from the Switch and Nintendo this year, along with a few cheeky predictions. But let me know the sort of things you're hoping to see down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, we've got tons of other cool stuff here on the channel. You should go and check some of that stuff out. And I do hope you'll consider subscribing as we do this every single week. Don't forget to check out thenintendovillage.com for more Nintendo news, reviews, features, podcasts, all that cool stuff. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you all next time.